Hello. My speaking assignment for week 4 was regarding preachers or ministers and the way that they use personal experience to enlighten scripture to a congregation. In this week's assignment, we're going to go a little deeper and we're going to discuss the different types of churches and the styles in which the ministers bring forth the word that they speak. The types of churches we're going to discuss are traditional, denominational, and contemporary casual. So in a traditional church, you will have a professional dress or clothing specific to their denomination, such as a robe or a collar. There will be a pattern structure of service, a lot of times across different churches. So in a traditional church, the structure of the service would be the same even in different churches. It possibly be in a different language, such as Greek or Latin. The service will be the same every week, and it's more based on tradition and keeping to what has happened in the past. Now, in the denominational church, victory in Jesus, my Savior forever. You will still have professional dress, typically a suit worn by the minister. There is a specific structure or order of services, as they call it. A lot of times in denominational churches, they get through a specific number of points in the sermon. So the minister will say in point 1 and go on to examples and experiences and scripture, and then proceed to the further points in the sermon. Denominational churches a lot of times try to mix the traditional with the contemporary so as not to alienate anyone in the audience, because you have the elderly to the very young. So by taking the traditional and contemporary and mixing them, you kind of make it understandable to all of your audience. In the denominational church, there typically is a pretty rigid time frame as far as stopping the service, and a lot of people in West Texas appreciate that because it means they won't miss their football on Sundays. Now, moving on to the contemporary casual church. You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. The contemporary casual church has come about probably in the last 10 or 12 years, and it's a whole different environment. Your minister, which could be male or female, is typically in more of a casual dress. It may not necessarily be a suit. You cannot predict the order of services because it could be different each week, and it's more free-flowing. You can come in each time and walk in, and one time we start with music and the next time we start with someone speaking. It's just more free flowing in that way. The contemporary casual church is really looking to experience something new, trying to get more of God or draw closer to Him in their experience in church. So while the traditional is holding on to the things of the past and the denominational is combining traditional and contemporary, the contemporary casual is really more the new and going for the things that haven't happened yet. Now, the style in which these ministers bring forth these sermons varies depending on the type of church that they're in. There are ministers that are specific to that congregation, and then there are other ministers that speak to different denominations and different churches. So depending on the church you're going to would determine how you speak. Now, in the traditional church, typically the minister or priest or rabbi says specific traditional songs or sayings or motions and scriptures that are done the same each time. So they have a lot of meaning. They are the highlighted portions of the Bible or of whatever reference they are using that time. So the prayers are the same, and it elicits emotion in people, because a lot of times in the traditional church, they've been in that church a long time, or their parents or their grandparents have been in that church, and the um, the way they've always known it, or it takes it back to their childhood, the experience that they have in those churches. Now, both the denominational and the contemporary casual churches tell stories and bring personal experience to the scripture and to what they are speaking and bringing forth to the congregation. So they may take a scripture and relate a personal experience or a personal experience of another person to enlighten this scripture in the life of the people in the congregation. If you can take scripture and apply it to your life, it is truly life-changing. A lot of ways that the denominational and contemporary casual churches also improve their sermons is by visual aid. So the denominational and contemporary casual churches will have props on stage, such as if you're talking about the story of David and Goliath, there may be a slingshot on the stage to reference the story. If you're talking about the woman at the well, there may be an image of that in the audio video media on the screen to give you a picture of what it may have looked like as you're hearing the story told. There are also times when they take actual people and bring them up. You would have a tall man and a short child to reference, again, the David and Goliath story. And they may bring forth a story of personal experience where they were experiencing something that just seemed insurmountable in their life. And yet, with their faith, even though they were the odd man out or the small one, they were able to overcome, because it was through the big God that it was within them and not through what was on the outside. So in this discussion, we've talked about the different churches, the traditional, the denominational, and the contemporary casual, and the styles in which the ministers bring forth what they speak. All of this and all of the experience I have had growing up in church since I was young. There are many churches, there are many styles, there are many ministers, but it is all truly under one God. Thank you.